Hello, once again another tutorial from SH Millinery, and this time we're talking about what are generally called illusion brims. So they're very lightweight, so veiling brims, that type of thing. So I'm just going to show you some quick ideas. Now what we'll be using for this first one is a ready-made little cinema base. Now normally I would make the bases, but I need to keep this one quite small, and I had this in the cupboard and it wasn't the right colour, so I've sprayed it black just with acrylic paint. So we're going to use that. We're also going to be using white veiling because I thought it would make a nice contrast, and some black millinery wire. And what I've done is I've cut a piece to about the size I want for the base. This will only be a small sort of hatinator as such, but I think this will work well. The reason it's small is because I only had this much black wire. Now this is large veiling. This is Merry Widow veiling. Oh, put that out of the way. Merry Widow veiling, and normally I would have used small veiling, but I didn't have any in white, so I thought, oh no, we'll give this a go. So what we're going to do first before we do anything is we've got our piece of wire roughly the size and the circle that we want, and this is quite thin millinery wire, and I'm going to thread it through the ends of the veiling, so up and over, in and out. Try not to miss any out as you go. It can be a bit fiddly because obviously you've got wire all over the place. Now because this is very wide veiling, I don't need it this wide. I need it quite shallow, so I'm going to have to cut at least half off. So I'm going to do that now, if I can find the scissors. Right, now we've got to join our wire. Now normally I think I said in my last video, I don't use brass ferrules very much, but they're fine on thin wire, and obviously we want a nice edge to this, so I can't go around sticking tape on. Now what you do is you push the ferrule over one end and you push the ferrule over the other end, and you try and get them about half, half and half, and then you have to squeeze like mad to squeeze them onto the wire. They won't just stay there otherwise. So I'm squeezing them and squeezing them, and I squeeze all different angles so that I make sure it's not going to come apart. Yep. So that's fairly sturdy now. Now because it's brass, we can see it. We don't want that either. So my handy Sharpie comes into play. Now Sharpies are great because they're waterproof. They're a permanent thing, so they work well on things like that, or on the wire. So if I'd wanted black and I only had white wire, I could have coloured it with a Sharpie. But I had this little piece of black left, and I thought this will be ideal for what we want to do. So we leave that to dry. I still have way too much, so I'm going to cut some off. So it's a bit trial and error, this. Doesn't want to stay clipped. I've stretched it around the wire, and you want it tight onto the wire, so you don't want it baggy and loose. and I'm going to just stitch these two ends together so that they stay put. Okay, now what I want to do is pull it to the center, and what's going to happen is it's going to be pinned to this. So I'm going to put it on the hat like that, and I'm going to have to pin it all the way around, stretching and pulling as I go. But as with most things in millinery, do your north, south, east, west points first, because you don't want this to be uneven. You want your ring. This is where this mat comes in quite handy, because there's my middle, the middle of my mat and the middle of my hat. And I can sort of work out by the squares where my brim needs to be. So that's that one there. And also you can do it by the squares, so 1, 2, 3. Yep. And that side will be 1, 2, 3. Now, apologies everyone, because when I look back over my videos, I think, that wasn't in shot very well and that wasn't in shot very well. So let's hope I'm better at it at the moment. So what we've done is we've threaded our wire through. We've joined it with a brass ferrule, which I've coloured with a Sharpie. Then I had to cut off more veiling, as you saw, because it was still too big. Now what I've done is I've pinned the veiling down to the little hat. So I've tried to keep it even all the way around, and the way you can keep it even is by looking at where I'm pinning through these sections. So if that's too far over and that's way up here, then I know it's not right. So get it even all the way around. Put lots of pins in. Now what we need to do is sew it. So I've done some black thread, and what I'm going to do is stitch through each of these little pieces here where I've put a pin. Keep your stitches small on the outside, like that. And you can do them to the next one, the next point of contact where you've got a pin. Pin out. Back through again. All the time keeping an eye on the veiling. Is it keeping taut? You don't want it getting baggy. Right, so what we've done is we've put our illusion veil on. Excuse it being bumpy, it's because of all that stuff in the middle. So I now need my small scissors. Right, so we've got our small scissors and we're going to have to trim the bulk inside, okay? So we know where our stitching is, so we can stitch up close, cut rather, up close to where we've stitched. And it should all stay in place if you've stitched it down correctly. Right, there we are. So now we'll put either a bias bind in or a little bit of Petersham, or if you've got two black centres like this, you just stitch another one to the top of that one. Now what you need to do is cut all the little twiddly bits off where you've joined up. So you want this to try and match. So if you think you've got any bits that you don't like or they're in the wrong place, chop them off. So now you'll always need to end up either stitching or covering that edge. There's no way around it with illusion veils. But to be honest, it doesn't look too bad as it is. So I'm going to finish the edge, and that is Illusion Veil number 1. Obviously, I've done this on a small scale. You can do it on a bigger scale. You can attach it to a different type of hat. You could attach it on the very edge of a brim of a very big hat and just neaten off again the inside. But it gives you an indication of what you can do. Finish the hat off on the inside. What I've done is I've put some bias binding. But to save myself time and to make it look neater, I've taken my bias binding, stretched it, folded it in half, and then stitched it around like that. Now that means you're only sewing one edge instead of having to sew 2, and it makes a better width for this type of hat. Now, because it's a small hat, it can withstand having quite a small, thin hairband. And what I've done, again, I haven't stitched this. I've poked it between the stitches through and out the other side. So it means, in effect, I can move it about on the hairband if I want to. And then when I was thinking about what I was going to do for decoration, I've decided to stick with ribbons. And I've heavily stiffened some black and some white ribbon. And I've just stiffened it with normal spray starch and ironed it. And I'm going to snip across. And then I'm going to melt the edges with a lighter. For my hat. So, thanks very much, folks. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you like this channel, please do subscribe. Join the membership scheme because we have discounts and lots of sort of extras for members. And if you've got any questions, please ask. Or if you've got any ideas for tutorials, again, just let me know. Thanks ever so much, folks. Bye.